future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Everyone is a product, and everyone needs marketing to succeed. Let's talk about it right now on the C-Spot. Going to market with Wendi and Peter.
Hey, let's go to market, Peter.
Yes, let's, Wendi.
I can't believe I just sat down in the seat. I can't believe I actually got here. Am I on time, or is that...
That's crazy. It's 12:02 and 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's crazy, because I just texted you and said, kind of buzzing by downtown, but it was the interchange of the right as you go by downtown after the 10.
Right.
You know, it's interesting because if you get in the exit for downtown, the 3rd through whatever, 6th or 9th through 2nd Street, you can buzz by all the traffic on the 110.
Oh, right. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Because then it just goes on to the 101 freeway. So I always try to do that, but, today was
just
a different story. Anyway, how are you, Peter?
I'm great. And you made perfect timing, because I told Tony, let's give it to 12:02 and I'll start the show and when he can come in. And you came in right at 12:01.
Yeah, I did.
Beautiful.
And I got a parking space right across from the front door, too.
Wow, amazing.
So that
it
was
all
pretty
worked
cool.
out.
Yeah, so
That's
how
perfect.
are you? How are you? We just have a conversational show today. Peter and I are just going to be talking about shit. Stuff.
About stuff.
Probably not
and
shit, but
and crap.
I
don't know. The conversation might turn there, especially given what your T-shirt says.
Yeah, my T-shirt says "I Heart to Go." You like this T-shirt?
Yeah, it's totally cool.
These are the T-shirts that were in that are in the Easy Go Pro commercial.
Right.
Yeah. There's "I Heart to Go" with the number 2, and then there's Easy Goer, Healthy Goer, a couple of other ones that everybody wore.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, Good to Go. But everything is with a number 2, because Easy Go Pro is the footstool for the toilet.
Right.
And it helps you go
either number 1 or number 2.
No, it helps you to go number 2 better.
Right.
Number 1, who cares?
But I was saying,
everybody goes number 1.
I was just detailing either go number 1 or number 2, and that helps for number 2. So you have number 2.
Yeah, number 2. So I Heart to Go. So we're actually trademarking it too. So we're trademarking this one, and we're trademarking Good to Go with the 2. Good to Go with the 2. So everybody out there, don't get any funny ideas because you see this on video. This is not for you to copy. As if you really wanted to. But anyway, Peter, what did you do this weekend?
And are you getting those websites and everything too?
Oh, I Heart to Go? Oh, yeah, I already have all of that stuff. You can't really do a heart.
Right.
Yeah. So it's for people who are just listening. We will start talking about something significant pretty soon.
Yes.
But for just listening, I have a T-shirt on that has an I, like the I Love New York. But this is I Love to Go with the number 2. So
yeah, it's
with
really
a heart.
Snappy looking shirt.
It's a snappy looking shirt, Peter. Snap. I can't.
Actually, tank top.
Tank top. Chamois. It's called a
chamois. Oh, is that what that's called? A chamois?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I totally did not know that.
I hate wearing sleeves. Once you get over 50, women don't like anything around their necks, and they don't like to wear sleeves.
Interesting. I've heard around the necks, but I never heard no sleeves.
Yes, for me it's no sleeves. If I could just sit here totally naked, I would, but then that would scare everybody away. I wouldn't have a show.
I don't know about that one. Come on now.
So, Peter, what are we going to talk about today? We don't really have anything. We don't have a guest, and Peter was all worried about us not having a guest. And I said, don't worry, Peter, because it's time for us to just chit-chat on the show.
Yeah, we've done this before, and it always turns out to be pretty informative and good and stuff.
Yeah, because you sometimes have some interesting questions to ask me that we don't necessarily get to talk about.
Yeah, totally.
Ever.
And I think it would be kind of fun, too, to especially since this is your show and
my show, it's my show, Peter, it's our show.
Well, right, but I think it would be fun to maybe at some point during our 5-0 minutes I always like to hear you walk through your services and stuff too. Like if I were a client or something.
Yeah, you say that I never do that, and I don't.
That'd be kind of fun.
I don't talk about.
Like if I was kind of like a prospective client, it'd be interesting for me, I think a lot of the audience.
What my pitch would be basically for my core company, which is C-Spot Run Productions or C-Spot Run Direct.
Yeah, so I thought that would be fun at some point. You know?
Well, why don't we do that now?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's actually kind of that. Thank you.
Yeah, totally.
I do. I am going to thank you for that. Because a lot of times people only know me or associate me with this radio show.
Right.
And and it always surprises me actually to be talking to someone. Like I was having lunch with Ariana Savalas, because Ariana and I are doing a jazz. We just thought of the name this morning. It's going to be called Gin and Jazz with Wendi and Ariana.
Oh, nice. What a great title.
And that's going to be July 20th. And that's for the, here at UBN, they do the host favorite picks of music. And so we get to have a show for music. So anyway, Ariana and I are going to do it because she made me fall in love with jazz, because she is contemporary jazz singer and singer-songwriter. And then and she taught me a lot more. She got me interested in jazz. So we came up with the idea to have the theme of the show, it's July 20th, be kind of like what's the generation, what's the new culture of jazz, the new jazz, and how does that differ, and where does it come from, and how does it relate to old jazz or the historical jazz, that we all know and love.
That's really cool. I like that topic.
Because there's a whole jazz scene out there that is really contemporary, and it needs to be introduced to more people. Like Ariana's music to me is very contemporary, and I love her music, and I love her. Did you see the jukebox one? The one that she did with the jukebox, those jukebox guys.
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah,
Postmodern jukebox.
Yeah, postmodern jukebox.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. She was super
totally.
sexy in that, and that was really, really great. So anyway, that's coming up, and that's interesting. But
and will you guys be drinking gin during the show?
Yes, probably.
So by the end, it'll be like really fun.
Yeah, it's Sunday. It's on a Sunday, so we get to. Yeah, that was the idea.
Totally, that's gonna
it was
be
all
fun.
Ariana's idea. So I said, let's just call it Jazz Hands. No, kidding. But anyway,
That's
Peter,
funny
so
too.
C-Spot Run. So the reason that this radio show, and I was brought up Ariana because I had a feeling yesterday when I was speaking with her, or 2 days ago, while Germany was scoring 5 goals in the first 11 minutes.
Right, what the heck?
Was that she really didn't have a handle on what I do outside of my radio show and why I have my radio show. And so anyway, I have a company, and it is called C-Spot Run. I've had it for 17 years, or C-Spot Run Productions, actually, and I've had it for 17 years, actually maybe 18 years. And, we're a full-service creative agency for direct response, whether it be consulting on back end or campaign management or anything, actually, because we've been doing it for so long, from both the marketer and owner product side to then segueing into the creative side, and then bringing that all together with being in 1997. I created the category of campaign manager on the client side for direct response campaigns. So what that means is that there's somebody in between the client and the vendors. So somebody's looking out for the client's ass is basically what it means.
Interesting.
Right? So you can't, and in order to be qualified to be a campaign manager of a direct response campaign, you have to have run campaigns from the guts of it. And so since I was introduced into this business by having my own product, 6-Day Bio Diet, back in 1993-94 is how I got into the infomercial business. And I was the talent, and I was the person running customer service. We do it all, right? I have that hands-on experience for about 20 years now of running the back end of campaigns. So,
wow, and that's fascinating.
Yeah.
And, this is something I don't know that I'm really curious of. How did that happen? How did you end up doing a campaign, starring in the commercial? How did that...
6-Day Bio Diet back in 93?
Yeah, how did that come about?
Well, actually, I was working for a company called Lion Advisors. Was it Lion Advisors? No, Apollo Advisors in Century City, and I was just like the administrative assistant to the legal guy, right? And my ex-husband was looking for something to do. He's an entrepreneur. I don't think he's ever had a job in his life. And other people's money job. But anyway, he was looking for something to do. And we had this company called BioLife of Aspen when we were in Aspen about a year or two before that. And that was actually the very first fat blocker which went on years later to become very well known as the thing that you take and it blocks the fat from being absorbed into your system. Well, anyway, we started with that. We called it BioLife of Aspen. We didn't pursue that because it turned out that those guys had licensed that same product to a bunch of different people. So that wasn't worthless. So anyway, my husband and this guy, Jamie Cobbler, they knew this guy that walked into their office when they were looking for something to do. And he had these 6 bottles of organic juices that came from Switzerland. And it was called 6-Day Bio Diet, 6-Day Bio Diet, actually. And it was a juice therapy program with yeast, disgusting tasting things like that, but for weight loss and to cleanse out your body. And it was really, really organic and really whatever. But my husband went on to think that was a really great idea, and it became a #1 infomercial. He always wanted to do an infomercial. We actually started. It got big overnight because Howard Stern ran an ad that we couldn't afford or pay for in the Los Angeles market on KRLA, and the 6-Day Bio Diet went from $3,000 a month to $350,000 a month just by one spot that we didn't even pay for, but Howard ran it by mistake.
Wow.
And then we ended up, it was $5,000 and it was a Howard read. So really powerful. And we're talking 1993.
Yeah,
right?
That was like the peak of his
Well,
out here.
I don't know. He still is major.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he's still major, but...
Yeah. So he was nationally, that was the peak of his King of All Media.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And so we only bought in the Los Angeles market, and that's what it did to the product. So that blew us up, and then we raised money, and we became... I quit my job at Apollo Advisors because Jamie and Bob knew nothing of what they were doing whatsoever administratively. And I went in and I started to take care of all of that stuff. And one thing led to another, and the person that I am, I started to just take control of everything. And I let my ex-husband go with Charlie Sheen over to like the strip club during, we're talking the early 90s, right? And I ended up running the company the best I could while he ended up spending the money the best he could in those crazy ways, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So one thing led to another, and it was very successful. And they didn't have a talent, so I learned how to be talent. Blah 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 blah.
How did you even learn though to do an infomercial?
Oh, I didn't. They hired a producer. They
Okay.
hired all that. The infomercial was done by a production company that was hired, right?
And were you able to learn from them, or were they
No,
not
I
very
didn't really
good?
care to at that time. I didn't care to. No, they were fine. It was Bob
Okay.
Williams, and it was a fine production company. Yeah. The commercial went on to, it was extremely successful. Hugely successful.
Wow.
I lost 13 pounds in just 6 days. It was made fun of on Saturday Night Live. And then from there, that kind of fell apart just because it made so much money, and it was what we call the Wild Wild West of infomercial days, and there was no rules. MERs were 13-1. Money was just flying in. People were using other people's merchant accounts. We had no real internet. So we couldn't integrate, right? We couldn't pass information from one place to another seamlessly. So, I was around in the days of we have the fax reports, and the fax reports would come in from the telemarketing company,
Wow.
and we're sitting there late at night and we're, tapping merchant, and we're tapping credit card numbers into a machine.
Wow.
Right. And then, then they're getting charged twice and 3 times. And it was crazy because now we're fully integrated with technology. And we can pass these type of batch files, and there's proficiencies, right, and efficiencies involved now. But I come from, you asked me what made me qualify or how I learned that or
Yeah, just
whatever,
how'd you learn it? Yeah.
And so I came from the place of when we were doing everything by hand, right, and lived through it all the way till today when, it's not the way that it's done. So my knowledge of how to make a campaign really efficient comes from experience, comes from hands-on running many, many, many campaigns. I worked for Time Life for a long time as a consultant for them. I created, the Walter Cronkite campaign, the Red Skelton campaign. They were all very successful campaigns. One CBS, one was Timeless Media. But what made me different was that I also offered the creative.
Right.
So I was able to offer the creative and the campaign management services because I saw a lot of people didn't know what they were doing after they had their creative, or
Right.
while I'm creating their creative, I would ask them questions like, well, what's your offer? Or, well, I don't know. What do you think it should be? And that one thing leads to another. And then you're looking at, well, where's your packaging? What are your product heroes like? And then you see the packaging and you go, we got to change that.
Wow.
So you start to really be fully integrated as a direct response agency, fully integrated into your client's campaign overall, from the media to, from concept to consumer and beyond.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what C-Spot Run basically does, and we have done for many years. So we can be hired to do the creative, the writing, the producing, the creative direction. We've won 15, honored with 15 Telly Awards. Well, I've been honored with them, actually, because I'm the person that actually is the art director, the creative director, the copywriter. I do it all.
Yeah,
I do
you
do
are
it all.
C-Spot Run.
I do it all. And then I, outsource everything else. But it's the smart way to run an agency for the past almost 20 years.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Here's to that.
Here's the 20 years. And interestingly enough, our guest next week has been in the industry 25 years.
Not in direct response.
Well, right, in his industry.
Yeah, Greg Garfield.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's our guest next week.
and it's great because I'm launching my own product for the first time since 1996. I created Slender Secret, The Power of 4 Days, which was the genesis to 6 Day Bio Diet. Everybody in 6 Day Bio Diet, they were all in litigation. I got divorced from my ex-husband, and I went on to create actually Slender Secret, The Power of 4 Days, which was I created, actually formulated with obviously the proper contract manufacturers, the juices, the next juice therapy program. So this is now 1996. And it was called Slender Secret. And it was 4 juices. It was the power of 4 days. And my partner started, the people started off, were actually Guthy-Renker and a company in Brazil called Brazil Invest, or Diet Power Products, or Alvaro Garnero, who is now very famous in Brazil because he has this travel show called 50 for 1, 50 por uno, or whatever, however you say it. But anyway, that started off that way. And then 6 Day Bio Diet people got all freaking flustered. And so Guthy-Renker got all scared of litigation, and so they backed out. Now, that is a secret that many people don't know, but there is one person out there. His name is, I think he's still associated with Guthy-Renker, but he will totally agree that, yes, that is the story. That's what happened. So I was hired to create the next 6 Day Bio Diet. So start to finish, from the vitamins to the teas. We formulated the teas. So it was juices, teas, and vitamins. And it came in this beautiful packaging. And Yaz did the packaging.
Oh, okay.
And Izzy
Wow,
Galliani,
nice.
she did the packaging. And it was beautiful. I loved it. It was on the cover of Sharper Image. It was the #1 selling diet in Brazil.
Wow.
I would go to Brazil and be on live shopping in Brazil and Rio with Alvaro. And then I was on HSN for a very long time with it. On Facebook pages, on our Facebook page and photos, I think there's pictures of me at HSN with Slender Secret. Right. So, and that became very successful. And I did that in 2 languages, actually. I did it for Portuguese. But then, Brazil Invest, after Guthy-Renker backed out, I was just the person working with Brazil Invest or Diet Power Products in Brazil. So, and they had funded everything. They owned it, basically. So that was cool. And then they decided to move on because, they had to deal with Pennzoil. They're a pretty big company. So anyway, it was their choice to not continue to do the diet, moving it in and out of the United States and Brazil. It was juices and things like that. It was becoming cumbersome. You can't have vitamin E in your vitamins when you have vitamins in Brazil.
Wow.
Right. So then we would have to make special vitamins without vitamin E. So it wasn't really cost effective. So anyway, so that's what happened there. And then I went on to create C-Spot Run. Yeah.
Okay, so after you developed that product, and that's when you started your own company.
And managed that campaign and was a spokesperson for that campaign. Yeah, I worked with that campaign for a very long time. And I was represented by William Morris at the time because that Slender Secret was pretty big and I was all over HSN. So then I started bringing more products to HSN. So I know the live shopping world also.
Okay.
right? From being a host, but also being the product rep and bringing products into live shopping.
Wow.
So I repped many products and was on air with many products for live shopping. And live shopping is a live medium,
Yeah.
right? So it's much like this, right? You have to play to the camera, or you have to be pitching a product over here, or whatever, and talking to the host, but looking at all of the monitors that are here and watching if your calls are coming in, if you're selling, and what's the next shot coming up.
And
blah,
plus,
blah,
you have
blah.
a voice in your ear.
You have
the
a
whole
voice in your
time.
ear the whole time, yeah. So,
Yeah, we've had a couple spokespeople on here, and like I don't know how you guys
Darla
do it. Yeah,
and
Darla and
even Tracy Metro,
right, and Jordan, whose name I
Tom
spelled
Jordan.
wrong. Tom Jordan.
Tom Jordan's done. Well, it's not. It's not an easy thing to do, and God bless those women. I mean, I did it a long time ago, and I probably could still do it, but who wants to? I mean, I
Right.
always say live shopping puts more people out of business than it puts in business, and plus the live shopping channels are no longer about entrepreneurial products. They really are only looking to work with brands, and they got a little snobbish.
Yeah, they're like
over the
more
past years.
like Gucci purses or
They are.
something now, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Than launching products per se.
Yeah, or Suzanne Summers or Joan Rivers or whoever.
Right.
Adrienne Arpel. My God, Adrienne Arpel was at HSN when I was at HSN, and that was a lifetime ago. And she still looks the same. That's scary.
Wow.
And she's 75, I think.
Oh my gosh, 75. That is crazy. So what I'm thinking, Wendy, is this. I have a couple more quick questions for you. Then we're going to go in and get a word from our sponsor. And when we come back from the sponsor, then I'm going to we'll walk through as if I'm a new client of yours, okay?
So this is really interesting. So Peter has made this show up as we've gone along.
Yes. So before we go to a word from our sponsor, I just have a couple more questions about your history. So you started C-Spot Run after that campaign that you were in. So just give me a highlight. What was
And by the way, so you can go to C-Spot Run at cspоtrun.com.
Yes.
So the letter C, Spot Run. So letter C and then spotrun.com. Yeah.
And tell me, what was one of your favorite campaigns you worked on over the years?
Well, I would have to say that one of my most favorite or memorable. So they're all different for me. There's a few that come to mind. And they're long form, most of them, and there are very special reasons why they're my favorites, so to speak. It depends on a lot of elements: the team, the crew, whomever, the creative, the client. But my favorite would have to be Red Skelton, and in the Red Skelton, it was a long form, and we won a lot of tellies for the Red Skelton. It was. I did it. I wrote it, and I wrote it like it was an old school variety show. The client wanted John O'Hurley, who had just come off of Dancing with the Stars, and was starring in that some Vegas show. Anyway, he wanted John O'Hurley to be a host, and I needed a pitch person, so I had Forbes. But Forbes Riley came in to do it, and I created it so she could dance in it. I mean, you have to watch it. So she could dance in it because she wanted to be on Dancing with the Stars. So I said, okay, so how can I leverage John O'Hurley just coming off of Dancing with the Stars and the client wanting to use him as one of the hosts? Make Forbes happy and make the show kind of interesting. So we did it in 3 acts, and each time it was like a variety show of the 60s. So they would come out in a different outfit.
Oh,
right?
Interesting.
For each, the CTA was in between, but it had Phyllis Diller. I had Jamie Farr, Phyllis Diller, Jane Meadows, Stephanie Powers. No, not Stephanie Powers. Jill St. John. These were all people that had worked with Red in the past, and I actually had the old school footage of them in it. So we were also cutting away to a bonus that would have Phyllis Diller or have Jill St. John in it, right?
Wow.
And then I had taken acting classes back in the day. When I was in my 20s, I took commercial acting classes, and my teacher was Kip King. And Kip King is actually the father of Chris Kattan from Saturday Night Live.
Oh, wow, okay.
So Kip and I were very close. And somehow Kip had found me after 30 years or something like this, and I was having lunch with him, and he mentioned that, he goes, what are you working on? And I said, I'm working on a Red Skelton thing. He goes, oh, I worked with the asshole, is what he actually said. And I went, oh, you did? So anyway, I had the opportunity of having Kip interviewed in the show and actually directing the guy that was the director that was trying to teach me 30 years ago how to do a milk commercial.
Wow.
So that was kind of cool. But it's a beautiful long form. It's a beautiful long form. We ended up not running it for many reasons because it was too costly to have all of these. It cost too much money to just pay the union, and the money for all of the celebrities. But we did a short form. I did a short form out of it, and it ran and made a ton of money. So that was one of my favorite.
Oh, wow.
Plus, I got to work with these iconic actors, and I got to have martinis at Phyllis Diller's house with her, and the whole experience of working and being associated with this iconic physical comedy guy, Red Skelton. I never thought as a kid growing up I would ever have an attachment to him. So that was very cool. That was one of my favorites.
Wow, that would have been an amazing experience.
Yeah, it was really one of my favorites, and the clients were really great also. Yeah.
And so for the short form, you guys just cut out all the big
we
names?
cut everybody out. I just said, watch this.
Right.
And I cut everybody out. We didn't have to pay any of the royalties. It was great, though. We had the long form and we had the interviews, but I cut everybody out.
Was the long form ever shown anywhere at all?
Yeah, but it was so entertaining that people thought it was a show.
Right.
People didn't realize that, you could order.
That's funny.
You can watch it. I think the whole thing is up somewhere on either my website or there's a big chunk of it up on my website under commercials. There's the short form and then there's the long form. And then I did my other really favorite, one of my favorites was the short form I did with Walter Cronkite, which is on my website also.
Wow, talking about another iconic legend.
Yeah, called Cronkite Remembers. And I got to work with 13 hours of an amazing documentary that he had produced and was in of his life. And so I got to work, and it was with CBS. It was in conjunction with CBS News. So I got to use all of this footage for his entire career and the news footage. And and it's so anyway, that's on my website too, Cronkite Remembers.
And so that's at cspotrun.com, the letter C.
Yeah.
Wow, those are
that's
a
why
couple
we
really
call
amazing
that's why
projects.
we call this show the C Spot.
Right, the C Spot with the letter C.
And you know what? The C these days is all about curation, culture, concept, consumer. So the C Spot is replacing the P's of what marketing used to be, which was price, product, position, something else. I could go on with the P's too, but the C Spot is now relevant. Thank you, Bob Norp, who named my show and got a little weirded out after a year later. And he said, I don't know why I named it that. And I was like, really? So now we know because it was meant to be.
And because you were ahead of the curve like usual.
Like usual. And there's another C, curve.
Yes.
Did I just get lipstick?
Actually, I don't know how you feel about that, but Bob Norp's probably due back on the show pretty soon.
I don't feel good about that.
Okay. So anyway, and just one more quick thing.
Not that I don't feel good about it, Peter. He doesn't ask me to be on his show,
Okay,
so I'm not going to ask him to be on my show.
I feel you.
He's a little overpowering when he was on my show last time.
Yeah,
Remember?
that's right. Yeah.
He was just like, Bob Norp has the Beancast, and actually I was listening to the Beancast on the way over here because his show is hot topics of marketing, for the week, and then he has guests on that then opine about these hot topics that Bob comes up with, and I really enjoy being on his show. I got a feel for radio from being on his podcast. It's a podcast,
right,
called the Beancast. And but then I had him on my show. He was my very first guest on the C Spot because I was so nervous to do a radio show. I didn't know what to do. And I said, Bob, will you interview me on my own show? And he did. And so he was the first one. And then we had him back a year later for an anniversary, and it was like, it just rolled right all over me, man. It was all about Bob.
That's right. I remember that now.
It was all about Bob.
Yeah.
And I think at the end maybe I said it's all about Bob.
I think you did. That totally rings a bell now.
It was like all about Bob. That was crazy. I couldn't get a word in edgewise.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, enough about Bob.
Yeah.
In the spirit to kind of end our whole retrospective and stuff like that, and you being ahead of the curve, really quickly, another thing that you were really far ahead of the curve on was actually doing the call to action direct to websites instead of phone numbers.
Yes. Yeah, Peter, thanks for remembering that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think it was in 2005 I went into Irwin Naturals because they had this I don't know if people remember it, but it was this really bizarre long form talk show format infomercial that was on television, and it was the guy talking about his daughter's poop is this big, Clee Irwin, and how he's selling a supplement for digestive colon cleansing. Well, he was the only person that had the balls really to go on TV and talk about it, and that that really cheap infomercial, which I had nothing to do with producing it, because of the topic and because of what he was talking about. I have a big theory on why it was successful, but he didn't understand how to run his back end. So in 2005, I got a phone call at 9 o'clock at night from Clear at Irwin Naturals, and that was my son. And he calls me, and I answer the phone, my home phone, right? And he goes, "I need you here tomorrow at 9 o'clock." And I said, "Who is this?" He goes, "Clear, Irwin, I'm 15 minutes away from you. I need you here tomorrow at 9 o'clock. I'm leaving for Brazil the next day." And I went, "Who is this?"
Right.
I had no idea who this guy was. He said, I heard that you're the best person for the job." And I went, "All right, I'll be there at 9 o'clock tomorrow." As it turned out, I was the best person for the job. And he was running his entire back end. He has Irwin Naturals is a company that has supplements. Well, Clee decided to get into this the infomercial world, and little did he know how to do it, right? And he was being guided every which way, and every which way was the wrong way. And when I went in that day, he said, "I don't know what's happening. The phone is ringing, but I am losing money like crazy. Okay." And I said, "Just let me look at your stuff." And I looked at all of his data and what was there, and I was like appalled. And then I was talking to people, and anyway, I did this whole 24-hour thing. And I can remember saying to him, "If you let me shut you down, just shut you down, and let me reestablish your back end. I just got to shut you down across the board," right? I said, so many things are wrong here. I will make you $85 million in the next year. That's what I told him.
That is
I remember
bold.
telling him that. Well, I could tell by what I was looking at that it was a hit.
Yeah.
It just wasn't being managed, nor was it set up properly on the back end, from fulfillment to the offer to, every single thing, the media, the radio, the buys, the way that they were accounting for everything. It was a disaster. Okay, we never changed the infomercial. I just changed the entire back end.
Yeah.
And when we did that, by the time I left, he had made $65 million within 9 months.
Oh my goodness!
He had grossed $65 million within 9 months. It's a campaign that will go down in history. I went in there. The 3 people that were working there had left within 4 months of me being there. They left. We hired one person. I brought in my ex-assistant to help me. But then by the time I left because I got cancer. By the time I left, which was maybe almost a year, 22 of my colleagues followed into that job.
Wow.
Doug Crothers. I can name them. I can go on, and I can tell you, how many people. And they would always, and I'm flattered by this, they would say, "Let's go back to Wendy's where's the Bible?" Because everything I did was really documented and everything. So anyway, I went on to be a $700 million brand.
Wow.
And set the colon category on fire. So.
And then also with you kind of leaving your Bible behind for that, you've taught numerous people kind of like the way to do things.
Yeah.
Because they might not have been doing it that way before they came across your documentation.
I think that I know how to do the back end, but I'm very intuitive about things, and I can look at a media report that somebody will look at for hours, and I can look at this media report, and I see it immediately what's wrong with it, or what I wouldn't have done, or why, what's the rationale behind this buy, and look at the response rates it's had, and then there was radio that was being bought, enormous amount of radio, and we couldn't really quantify where it was coming from, but yet everybody was just buying it. Let's just buy, spending this guy's money like crazy. So I ended up making him a bunch of money, and it being really a campaign that most people do remember. So it's cool.
So it's kind of like a media report. It's kind of like the Matrix for you. Some people just see green numbers, but you see the whole world.
Well, from media, from telemarketing, from web, web. Back then, he didn't have a website, right? In 2005, he didn't have a website. We created the website. He didn't believe in a website.
And
didn't believe in it.
Is that the first campaign that you drove the response
that was
to
what
website?
that was where that came from. I did. I created that, and I actually created one in Spanish too. The first campaign I actually drove to web only was Red Skelton.
Oh wow, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I had enough numbers to prove to the client that if you didn't, and that was in 2008, if you didn't drive to the website. If you didn't have a call center, this would be the amount of money that you would think you're losing, right? But you're really not losing that amount of money because your call is costing you an enormous amount of money. Your cost per call was high. So when it all balanced out, when you looked at the traffic and the conversion rate online, which the conversion rate back then, by the way, everybody, in 2008, we were seeing 20 and 30% conversion rates, to sale. You don't see those conversion rates anymore.
Okay, I was going to say, what are conversion rates like nowadays?
2%, 3%, 4%,
Oh, wow, big
5%
difference.
maybe. Yeah. So we were seeing really high conversion rates back then. And so, it just didn't make sense to spend the money over here when your return on your investment without the call center involved was bigger. Okay, maybe you're going to lose a few orders, but, oh no, we want every order we can get. So then we tested it without the call center, and he made more money, so he got it.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what was really great about it, Peter, was that at any point, because DVD collections are really great for Christmas, so anytime he doesn't have to customize his spot. He doesn't have to put 800 numbers in to correlate with the call center. Right? That's what an 800 number does. It says, okay, this buy, this 2-minute buy is going to have this 800 number on it because it's this station.
Gotcha.
And then we're going to know by that 800 number. So now you have to you have to customize your commercial, has to be trafficked to the station.
Right.
Right? And then that number is then associated with that. It goes into the call center. The call center knows. We all know where that call's coming from, and that's how we know the performance of the media. Specifically the performance of the media, okay? But if you eliminate the 800 number, you no longer have those specifics. You never have that. You can't drill down into your analytics for your media performance. And so media companies in DR were very resistant to that. At first, and they still are a little resistant. A lot of them might say, no, you need a call center, and there's an appropriate time for a call center. But, at the end of the day, when you can pay, if it's a transactional e-commerce site, when you can pay $1 for a transaction and eliminate a $5 average call, why wouldn't you do that?
Definitely.
And these days, 90% of everything driven from television is being purchased through the web. 50% of that, by the way, goes to Amazon if the product is available on Amazon, even if it is a higher price point.
Okay,
so just know that. Always have your product on Amazon. Always. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. No.
I get really wrapped up. I can just talk.
No, but this is all. I think this is all good for people to learn about.
This
you
one
and know
thing
about
leads
you.
to another, leads to another, leads to another,
totally.
right? Because it's all interconnected. Direct response is it's connected. It's the connectivity of marketing. It's the big daddy of we've known forever where people live and breathe and what they buy and how they buy it. We've known that for years. We've been studying that for years. Most marketers or most ad agencies or whatever, they still are grappling with performance-based media, with clients that maybe want the agency to take a back end of as opposed to a big upfront. We have direct response agencies will take a smaller upfront for our services and then take a back end percentage of the gross sales.
Right.
What other agencies in the world do that kind of stuff? We do.
Totally.
Right? We do. Yeah. Yeah. So we're very different. You need to run a commercial.
Yeah, let's get in a word from our sponsor, and then we'll continue on with what we're talking about here. So here's a word from Direct Avenue.
Direct Avenue is much more than a leading direct response TV media buyer. We specialize in the expert planning, brand building, analysis, and management of short-form and branded DRTV ad campaigns. We manage direct response TV ad campaigns for clients throughout the United States and Canada. As a Direct Avenue client, you'll benefit from big agency relationships and resources, but receive boutique agency service with the flexibility and creativity to plan and manage a TV ad campaign that meets the particular needs of your company. For more information, visit directavenue.com. When you contact us, mention you heard about us on the C-Spot radio show and receive a free analysis of your TV ad campaign.
In an average lifetime, 1,500,000 minutes are spent on the toilet.
People spend a lot of time on the toilet because they're not going very easy.
So what's the problem?
When you sit on a toilet, you're at a 90-degree angle.
Nature didn't want us to do it that way.
This causes pushing, straining, hemorrhoids, constipation.
That's crazy.
Everybody goes.
It's what we all do. We're human beings.
We want to create a product that is great for humanity.
Making it easy for people to improve their lives.
That's all we care about.
Well, go time just got easier. Introducing Easy Go Pro, the only way to go.
Human bodies are made by nature, and there is a position that is more natural than sitting on a toilet with a 90-degree angle of your legs.
Anatomically, we were designed to eliminate at a 35-degree angle.
What Easy Go Pro does is it elevates your feet.
To put your hips in the proper position for easier elimination.
You just sit, lift, and go in a natural position.
The benefits list is this long from a pure health perspective.
A healthy colon is encouraged by doctors for all ages.
The key to vitality, it's the key to longevity, it's the key to your health.
That is really the essence.
Easy Go Pro is simple, safe, and it works. Sturdy but lightweight, it's perfect for the entire family. When not in use, it slides easily out of the way.
Is like the perfect height for a 2-year-old to rest his feet on.
If you make that little change, you will realize immediately the benefits.
And that's the reason that we created it.
At EasyGoPro.com, we guarantee it will work for everyone. Be a healthy goer. Order now at EasyGoPro.com. Try it for 70 days. If you don't absolutely feel better, just send it back for a full product refund. Go time just got healthier at EasyGo.
And that was the Easy Go Pro commercial.
Yes, it's easy to go pro.
It is.
That's my commercial, by the way, for people who can't see it. That's my product, Easy Go Pro, the toilet stool, the footstool for the
so
toilet.
people just listening, you heard what it was about, but yeah, that's a commercial
It's a very cool,
developed.
it's my product, so I've
Yeah.
developed the product.
Yeah.
So I've done everything. So usually I'm not a product owner, right? I stopped doing that years and years and years ago, but I really believe in this category and this item so much, and I kind of want to have my own product again because I get to be in control, right? Working with Easy Go Pro, it's my product, it's my money. I have a bigger commitment. I'm more involved on a different level because like I can refer a merchant processing company to a client, but I'm not the financial officer. I'm the consultant
Right.
helping them run their campaign. What happens after I've referred that I have no idea. I just assume that the client is happy if they continue using the services. So we're having Greg Garfield on next week for this very reason, is because, I started myself to use a couple of those people that I was referring.
Right.
And I had only referred them a few times, but I'm very happy with one person that I've been referring for many, many, many years. But then I referred this other person going, okay, I'll give them a chance, or I'll use them. And man, I got reamed on fees.
Wow,
and
unbelievable.
Yeah, and I had to disengage the contracts, and then I paid more money because that. But over the long term, it was okay. But it really, my point is that I saw what happened from the other side, right?
Yeah.
From more of a deeper side of the back end, and I'm really learning a lot. I'm also learning. I know you were going to ask me a question, but this is probably relevant.
This is really good information.
I'm also learning a lot, like because I have so much on my plate, right? I just got done working with Johnny V for his 2 products that he has.
Oh, the plumber, right?
Yeah, plumber, Johnny V, the plumber, and that was really great because I got to create and help him create his persona.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And do all of the packaging with my designer Ian and Johnny V, for his products, which was really great. We designed the logos. He had nothing when really he had, with one of them he had something, but with the other one, which is a cleaning product, he had nothing. Nada.
Wow.
And so we had to do everything. And then we shot the commercials, and it was really fun. It's really great to work with somebody like him because he is really committed. He's young. He's only 28. He's handsome. He's talented. He listens, and it's just a good overall experience.
Right.
Okay.
And I mean, you basically were instrumental in actually helping him create him as a brand.
Yes, him as a brand, to develop his persona, Hi, I'm Johnny V, the 4th generation plumber, because he's building his brand based on that. So he'll have a lot of different products. And he is a 4th generation plumber. And yes, he is a real plumber. And yes, I did everything I shot was at his plumber, headquarters.
Wow. Is that what they call it? Plumber headquarters?
No, it was
like
his.
The Batcave?
It was his shop. No, there's the graveyard. There's the toilet graveyard. Is in the commercial. But the commercials are great. We just finished them. We're finishing up. There were 6 of them because we did two products, but we did a 120, a 30, and a 60 for each.
Wow.
For each one. But then. Well, what was I going to say? Amazon. So I'm learning more for the back end because now I have EasyGo Pro. That my mold just got here last week, so it's
exciting.
finally here. I get to go tomorrow to see it poop out some EasyGo Pros at the injection molding place. But it's 15 weeks delayed. It was 15 weeks delay. So here I am, everybody. I've been doing this for I don't know how long, and I'm thinking, okay, great, genius idea. Do my own product. We get the best of the best, and we design the website, and we've got everything. I got everything raring to go, right? I've got it all ready to do the commercial, everything, and we were supposed to have product by March 15th. But we just got the mold, and it was July 8th or something like that. We got the mold. So if we didn't have a great rep in between me and China and Henner, who is the designer, it would have been a real problem. But Wayne did a really great job. So he was the liaison between us and the factory in China. We had no problems whatsoever with our mold. None whatsoever. Just getting it was a pain in the ass. So all of the first runs and the second run that came out of it were beautiful. They were beautiful.
Great.
Yeah.
But why was it delayed so long? Just the Chinese
I don't know, but we don't have to waste time talking on why. It's what happens.
But it's a good lesson for people to hear about.
Everybody that does, maybe we'll have somebody on the show that we'll interview about that. But everybody always has these delays with their molds.
Right. Okay.
Why did I think I was going to be different? I don't know, but I did.
Right.
So my point is that now I want to set up EasyGo Pro on Amazon and you can't set up on Amazon unless you can ship within 2 days. Right.
Okay.
So you have to be able to, because you want to qualify for Amazon Prime.
Right.
For their peoples. Okay, so now I'm learning all about. I've had it set up for a while. I just haven't been able to make it go live. But yesterday, now I'm having to really learn about all of the details of the merchant processing and all the details of how to get something on Amazon, because my company is a startup company. EasyGo Pro is a startup company.
Yeah, totally.
So I once again am doing everything with a great team of outsourced fulfillment, and I have outsourced SEM, and my e-commerce is outsourced. All of that stuff is outsourced, right? Because I'm a campaign manager by trade, that's all I'm really doing for my own company, but at a deeper level. Like when I get asked, well, what are you using for your accounting? QuickBooks or whatever for EDI? And I just went, what does that got anything to do with it?
Right.
And the lady thought I was crazy. I said, oh God, one more thing. So I'm going to have to get a bookkeeper or somebody to come in and help me when all of that stuff starts.
Yeah, but, especially when all the money starts rolling in.
Well, not when the money starts rolling in, really. I wish it would be more about organizing the purchase orders and creating the invoices that then have to be generated by the purchase orders, and the purchase orders going to the proper place, and knowing what the lead times are. And then, once we do go on television, you have to project your inventory. So you have to have a smart purchasing person, because you have to project your inventory needs to your media plan and your ramp up for your media plan. And then I also have international that's testing. We have a 7.5 minute that we did for international, and international is testing 30 countries or 30 distributors are interested in testing the 7.5 minutes. So that's really wonderful internationally, because that could be a very big market for EasyGo Pro.
Yeah, totally.
And I have so make a long story short, I actually felt as though I could create the picture perfect marketing campaign, right? And get way ahead of the game. And really what I did was I did that, but then I couldn't do anything with it because I didn't have product.
Wow.
So anyway.
But now things are starting to converge, right? Now that you got the mold. And
Today, yes,
Okay.
yes. So I'm really focused right now, and I'm focused on learning a lot. Like Amazon, you know how much money people make by selling products on Amazon?
A lot.
And I'm not talking about brands. I'm talking about people who go to swap meets and buy products, then they find them because they want them in good condition, right? And then they have a Seller Central store. They have FBA, which is Fulfillment by Amazon, Fulfill It, which will cost you about 30% from what you take. It is about 30%, but affiliates charge you about 30% of your price. But they do everything for you. But, like you can go, like I have a Fitbit that I haven't opened. I can take that and put it on my Amazon store and just sell it.
Wow.
You can take things like that. As long as it has a UPC code, you can scan the UPC code, and it'll come up on Amazon, and it'll show you what other people are selling it for. And then you just put it into your system, and you want to sell it for X amount. And then, they give you ability to, you print out your labels, you tag it, you tag your item, and you put everything into a box, and you ship it to Amazon. You get a great rate to ship it to Amazon because you get their shipping rates. And then they box it up and ship it for you, and they pay you every 30 days. So for me, with EasyGo Pro, it's a little bit different because I might use FBA, but I probably will just use my fulfillment center.
Right.
But for just the average person, you can make money. I didn't realize this.
Wow, that's really
and
fascinating.
I have so many books. Books are great because you don't, because they fall under the EAN thing or whatever. I have 1,000 books. 1,000 books. So I'm going to have like this, I'm going to do a little side business where I'm going to start selling all the shit I don't want in my house on Amazon.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, seriously.
Wow.
People make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. If you go on YouTube and listen to these people that sell on Amazon, they're making 50, 60, 100 grand a year just by selling on Amazon.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. I bet you didn't know that.
You know what else is unbelievable?
What? We're out of time.
And, we'll get to this in future shows and stuff like that. I did want to kind of walk through the process, but really quickly, because we literally have 15, 20 seconds. What kind of client are you looking for?
Well, if I was, because I'm busy with EasyGo Pro, if I was to have my dream client, which would be the client that I would take.
Right.
Right. It would be a nice brand, a good sized brand, looking for probably more consulting services on the creative and the back end side of things for direct response. For understanding how the back end really works, the analysis, and how you dig deep. And I'm talking about digging deeper than the people who are graduating from college that say, well, I can look at your big data for you. You have to understand what it means, right? You have to live and breathe it. You have to understand what this data really means. And you'll never understand what the data means until you live and breathe these campaigns.
Yeah.
And that's what's missing from the big agencies is that, they might think they can do direct response, but until you really understand it from creative to the guts of it, to the long tail effect of it on your customer and everything in between, you really aren't qualified to go in and give any type of consulting services, whether it's creative or back end or whatever it might be, because that's really what sets me apart, I think, from everybody else, is that I it's an innate thing with me, Peter. It's hard to explain. I didn't go to school for it, nothing. I live and I breathe it so long. Right. I just understand it really well. So
big brands, get a hold of Wendi.
A nice big brand or an agency that's looking for somebody that needs some consulting services for their client. Right.
And get a hold of you at cspotrun.com.
At Wendi
at cspotrun.com.
Wendi, Wendi at the letter C.
So amazing. So much information. We'll be back next week, next Thursday, July 17th.
With Greg Garfield. From we're going to talk about credit card processing and merchant processing. Hold on, Peter. Don't click off yet. And then Peter's going to have a show. Put it on your calendar, August 3rd.
Sunday, August 3rd is my music show.
For his music host picks, his favorite picks.
Yep.
What's going to be your category? What's your genre?
It's going to kind of be like my history in music.
Okay,
like
that's
my
cool.
story in music.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
And I might have a couple call-ins of like people that used to be on radio with me way back in the day
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Peter's a music aficionado, and I learned that from when we went to the concert, and I gave your friend, was it Pam? Is her name Pam? The person that we went to the concert.
Oh, right. Lynn.
Lynn.
Right.
I gave her a ride back to the hotel. She
Yeah.
told me all about it. She knew you back in the day in high school.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So anyway, well, thank you, Peter. It was thank you for asking all the right questions.
Yeah, it was a great
today.
show.
Yeah,
and it flew right by.
Thanks for focusing it on me. I love when things can be focused on me.
Yes.
I love it.
So we'll be back next week.
Are you smelling what I'm selling? I have to say that.
I'm smelling it, that's
Are you
for sure.
smelling what I'm selling? Okay. See you
All right,
later.
see you next week.